Hey there. Welcome to episode 84 of Toy Talk with Mike and Chad.
I'm Mike.
I'm Chad. And the toys we'll be talking about today in this episode is a slew of new DC figures.
Yeah, which I did not know we were going to have these
Nope,
figures to talk about.
I didn't either. And one random figure at the end. But yeah, this was quite a surprise, actually.
Yeah, so I'll start by just setting this up a little bit. And I still don't know exactly why all this happened. But we here in Canada, we have GameStop, just like people in the United States and probably elsewhere in the world. I don't know how big that is. But anyway, our GameStop used to be way back in the day called Electronic Boutique, which was like a Quebec-based store.
Yep.
And then when Electronic Boutique expanded across Canada, it turned into EB Games. Mm-hmm. So we had EB Games. And then GameStop came in, how long ago? Like a decade?
10 plus?
Yeah.
Let's go like between 10 and 15 years ago.
Yeah, so GameStop came in and bought up all the EB Games locations, switched over to GameStop, and that's where we've been for the last while. Now, I've been worried about the future of GameStop because we've shuttered a lot of locations. Like, we live in the suburb of Sackville. There used to be a GameStop in Sackville. And then just beyond us is another suburb called Bedford. There used to be a GameStop in Bedford. And then you get into the city of Halifax. And so now we have to go all the way into Halifax to get our toys. So we've lost 2 GameStops along the way. And there used to be 2 GameStops in Halifax, but they closed one of those.
Young Street was the one they closed.
Yeah, so we've been losing GameStop locations. And their bread and butter has always been video games. But more and more people download content instead of buying physical copies. So we've seen them trying to experiment and shifting more into collectibles. And that stuff always has me a little worried that, like, are these guys going to last too much longer? Now, I don't know if this means they'll last longer, but it was kind of announced just like a week ago that GameStop Canada has been purchased by some dude. I think his name's Steven something. I don't know. I've never heard of him. But apparently he's a co-owner of McFarlane Toys.
Yeah.
Which I assumed Todd McFarlane owned 100% of his company because it's not a publicly traded company, but I guess he must have shares with some investors.
Yeah.
So I don't know how big a stakeholder this guy is in McFarlane Toys. But he's a Canadian-based businessman from Quebec. And so he said, I'm buying GameStop and I'm switching them all back to EB Games effective immediately. So already the website says EB Games again and all that sort of stuff.
And that was within like minutes of that announcement going live.
Yeah. So I think, well, that's a good sign. There's a Canadian guy. He's going to, revitalize this business a little bit. And I assume he must have a plan. He doesn't want to buy into a single company.
No.
And very quickly, a lot of the stores got a whole bunch of McFarlane product in the store that they haven't had for a long time. And so I went in there and I talked to our GameStop guy, Justin. And I was like, what's with all this stuff? Some of this stuff is really old. Like they had old Spawn figures from a couple of years ago and everything. And he's like, well, since that guy from McFarlane Toys he filled all of our stores with their like backstock, their inventory, their warehouse stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, that's cool. And it was already pretty cheap. It was like some of it was discounted. Some of the Spawn figures were like half price or whatever. But anyway, the day before yesterday, I finished work. I sat down. I looked at my phone. I went on Facebook, and I'm in a group called like Toy Collectors Canada or something like. And I've seen all these people posting like crazy sale at GameStop. All the McFarlane stuff at GameStop is on deep discount. And I was like, what? And the store that we go to closes at 6 p.m. So it was already too late for me to go to the store. But I'm like, what's in stock online? So I went online, and I was looking for items that I knew they had in our location. And it said, like, yes, in stock at that store. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to buy them all online and pick them up tomorrow. I was a little worried, though, because I didn't know if a bunch of people were finding out about the sale, like, late. And for all I know, they're going to show up at the store the next morning and see that 10 different people have all bought the same thing. So I was a little worried. I didn't know if they would honor all these things I bought. So I bought 3 figures online And then the next morning, I took time off of work. I was like, I'm leaving at 10 a.m. and I'm going to take my break early. And I drove into the city. I was there right at open. And I said, hey, I ordered a bunch of stuff online. I didn't get an email from you yet confirming that it was ready for pickup, but I just wanted to make sure it wasn't, double purchased or whatever like that. And so the kid working was like, yeah, I saw that stuff when I came in this morning. I'll go grab it for you and get it processed for you. And while I was in there, I was looking around. They had dump bins and they had a ton of stuff marked down. I ended up buying 6 figures for myself.
Yeah.
Then I called my brother and I said, he's not a big collector of McFarlane stuff. He doesn't buy DC and he doesn't buy Spawn. But his favorite DC character is Jonah Hex. And I was like, Doug, they've got this Jonah Hex figure, which is usually $100, and it's 75% off down to $25. Do you want it? And he's like, let me look at it online. He said, yeah, that looks pretty cool. Go ahead and grab it for him. So I bought that for him. And then I called you. And I was like, is there anything here that you want me to get?
And hold up. Beep, beep, beep. Back it up here.
Okay.
The night before that, the original night, when you went home and you were looking on your phone, you'd message me.
Yeah.
I think it was Monday night because I was at work when you messaged me.
Okay.
And you're like, oh my God, there's this huge sale on DC. And I'm like, what? I still have to work at my restaurant job for another 3 hours. And I'm like, this is going to drive me crazy. I can't look at it right now. So I go home. Perfect. Looking on my phone. I'm going on. And I added a bunch of stuff to my cart. Earmuffs, kids. Fuck GameStop and their stupid website. I hate this website. We talk about it so much.
Yeah.
I had 9 figures in my shopping cart. And when I went to check out, the total was 100 and something. So I was like, oh, that's decent for 9 figures.
Yeah.
So I go to check out and it automatically comes up, not available, not available, not available, not available. And I'm like, what the hell? So I go on my laptop and I look. Well, I have everything still in my cart. And I'm looking and it says, item not available for store pickup. Ship to home is available. And I'm like, well, why is ship to home available? If they do have some, you should be able to ship it to the store.
Yeah.
So that option wasn't there for specific ones, and then it was there for other ones. So I was like, is that why it's not letting me finish my cart?
I think, it is a weird website. If you have some things that are in stock and some things that are not in stock, and some things will say available for ship to your house, some things will say only available for in-store pickup. And if you try and check out a cart with a combination of things, it'll say you can't do this. Either delete all the deliver from home stuff or delete all the whatever. And it is a bit of a pain in the ass because sometimes you don't even know what it's available as. Anyway,
so normally what happens is I would go back and try to separate everything, which is the case. That's what I did. I had my laptop up. I had everything in my cart, so I just went back and created a new cart without logging in.
Yeah.
And then same thing popped up. It's like, not available, not available. This option isn't. So I just ended up getting pissed off. I was like, okay, well, I really want the Mr. Bloom one.
That was a 2-pack.
That was a 2-pack. That was $5, and the original cost was $79 something. And I'm like, that is a great deal. And Mr. Bloom was one of my new favorite supervillains, I guess you could call him, in the New 52. And I was like, okay, well, this is great. I'll try that one. Wouldn't let me. And then it's available at the shopping center, I think. And I tried to click and collect, and it still wouldn't let me do it. So I'm like, you know what? I don't have the fucking patience for this. I guess I'll just wait. And I had messaged you saying, where did you see this? Because it's not working. And then you sent me the screenshot with the circle, and I'm like, no, God damn it. I know where they are. I'm just trying to find out how to get them. So we had that conversation.
Yeah.
You go to work the next day. I'm sitting at my desk, and it's Mike Hyland calling from iPhone. I'm like, he never calls me from his phone. It's always Facebook Messenger. I was like, shit, this must be urgent. So sure enough, I answer, and you're like, I'm here. If they have figures, what do you want? So I'm like, is the one of them there?
Yeah.
You're like, yep. And you're like, this one's also there. I was like, awesome, because that's the one that was in my, let's say, pile that I couldn't get shipped to the store. So I'm like, amazing. I will gladly take those. Here we are with all these figures now.
Yeah. So for me, because I've been burned on the website before too, it's confusing, whatever. So when I went to buy stuff online, there was a lot more stuff I was interested in, but I only bought some key things that I knew they had in our local location, because I was literally there like 2 or 3 days earlier. And I actually almost bought... So if you go back to my episode, I think it was the episode I did when Scott was here, I bought the Dr. Fate figure. Now, I had pre-ordered Dr. Fate, but I wanted him in the yellow and blue.
Yeah, the classic.
But then they gave me the Chase figure, which was kind of like black and gold.
Yeah.
And I kept it, and I was kind of hoping that they were going to call me. I told the guy at GameStop, I was like, if you get the other one in, can you call me? Because I'd rather the regular release instead of this Chase version. And he was like, yeah, I'll give you a call if I see it. So I was like, well, either call me and I'll exchange it, or whatever, I'll just open this one up. So I had this one sitting here for like 2 weeks, and I was looking at it, and I'm like, I was just about to open it up. I'm like, I really don't want this figure. I wanted it in the right color, so I'm like, I'm going to return it. So I went to GameStop, returned it, and I was trying to be like considerate. I was like, I think it's easier for them to give me store credit than to refund my credit card. I'm going to try and save them bank fees or whatever. So I was trying like hell to find something to buy in the store. And there was, well, it's not like there was nothing, but it was nothing I wanted to, so I was only getting like $30 back for him. And I was looking at this King Kong Batman set that's like $100. Yep. And I'm like, I didn't come in here to spend $70 more. You know, so after I couldn't find anything that I wanted to swap it for, I ended up, you know, I got put it back on refund on my credit card or whatever, and I left. And so then when I found out about the sale, all those things that I had been humming and hawing about and I almost bought at full price, I put in my cart quickly and I bought them at discounted 50 to 75% off. And sure enough, when I went there the next morning, they had them still, and I was like, yeah. And I looked insane leaving that store because I didn't have a bag or anything. I'm literally carrying a tower of action figures like this tall to my car. I took a picture of the stack of boxes that I'll put in here so you can show you, but like, I looked crazy. Like people were, and it's like first thing in the morning too. People are getting their coffee, and here's this guy. It looks like I just spent like $1,000 on Batman figures.
Joke's on them.
Yeah, but it was an epic haul. Like I was driving home with a big smile on my face, like I just robbed a bank or something. I was like, I can't believe I scored all this stuff for. Well,
that would have cost, oh man, so much more money, because a typical McFarlane now, I've seen them go as high as $36.99 for a standard figure, and some of the 2-packs or whatever are pushing $80.
Well, there's some I'm still like. In the moment, I thought I was maybe getting carried away and buying stuff I shouldn't. I'm like, because like I said, I pre-ordered the 3 online the night before, but then when I got there, I picked up 3 more for myself plus the 3 for you guys. And I was like, there's a whole bunch more figures for $10, which are normally like $40. And I was like, ooh, this is a good deal. I'm like, should I get this white Batman with the target on his chest? Should I get, like, they had some good figures that I already have. And I bought those figures at regular price because I liked them so much. And seeing them there so discounted, I just wanted to like rescue them. I'm like, so there was Metallo, there was Ragman, there was like just a bunch of cool figures. And I was like, man, somebody's going to get a good deal on all these guys. But anyway, we did pretty good.
We did do well. And I'm having buyer's remorse here. Well, actually, non-buyer's remorse, because you would ask me, do you want the Metallo? And I'm like, you know what? No, I don't. And then you're like, are you sure? And I was like,
there he is. I'm looking at him right over there.
I know. And now I'm like, fuck, I should have bought him. But I'll go back this weekend, and if he's there, I'll pick him up.
Well, that's
not.
So then I was kind of proud of myself that I didn't go too nuts. Because the 3 figures I bought online the night before were discounted, but they were still a little bit more expensive. I bought one figure for $25, which was normally $100. I bought one figure for $30, which was usually $60, and I bought one figure for $50, which was usually $100. So I had done pretty good on all those ones. But then when I showed up there the next day, the 3 extra ones that I picked up were all $10 figures. Mm-hmm. And there was a whole bunch more $10 figures that I could have bought. Like, I have that Frostbite Batman over there, which I think is really cool. But they had all the other, they had Frostbite Deathstroke and Frostbite Joker.
Because he's one I was looking for, and he was actually available.
Yeah.
But because of that cart situation.
Well, he might have been there. I don't remember. But like,
he wasn't, because I was in there whenever the last time we were, and he wasn't.
But they had like the Dark Knight, Batman in his armor.
Yeah.
And they had it in like the patina version. And I'm like, I had it in my hands. And I'm like, it's only $10. And I'm like, no, I shouldn't buy this. And there was a couple other ones that I put down. And then as I was driving home, even though I was all happy with my haul, I was like, man, $10, that's like less than lunch at McDonald's or something. I probably should have bought a couple of more. And I'm kind of having some regrets. Same as the other location that's about another 10 minutes down the road.
The shopping center.
I could have went to the one in the mall because I knew they had a couple of figures in stock. Like they had Sergeant Rock for $10. He's normally $40. They had a 2-pack of Batman and Solomon Grundy, which is usually $80, and it was.
Is that the one I have where he's like a orange color,
translucent
detective mode Batman?
Yeah, so that was $20 for that 2-pack,
which is crazy because I paid $69 something for it.
Yeah, and so it was like, there's so many good deals. I felt like I should have maybe bought more, but I have plenty. So
the one I really wanted, and I'm pissed. It's available in New Minas, which is about an hour and a half away from us. Yeah. So if I really wanted it, I could call our guy and ask him to send it up. I don't know if they'll do that if it's discounted or not.
Yeah. Or you could just drive the hour and a half.
Or I'll drive the hour and a half. But it was that DC versus Vampires Batman. It's the black and gold looking Batman.
Yeah.
That is such a nice looking figure. I might, on Sunday, drive there if it's still there and at that price.
You should probably do the math on the gas and everything, because you could probably order the thing on Amazon maybe for cheaper than driving to New Minas and back.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, should we get into this?
Let's get into it.
We've been blabbing. All right, so maybe I'll start with this guy's right on the top. So a year or two ago, maybe 2 years ago, I bought the DC Multiverse Swamp Thing figure. Do you have that one too?
I do. I have the original, not the one with the stupid antler.
I have the original one as well. They released it 3 ways. There was the original one, then there was one with antlers, and there was a gray one or whatever. And then they might have did a glow-in-the-dark one after that too. Anyway, I like that figure. I think he's a little oversized. I'd rather Swamp Thing be more like the same size as Batman, Superman. Maybe a head bigger, but this guy was like...
Yeah, he's a mega fig.
Yeah, he's like 11 inches tall, so he's almost double the size of these guys, which I didn't love because I don't think Swamp Thing is supposed to be that big. But scale issues aside, it was a beautiful figure.
Yeah.
I love they had all these kind of overlays, so all the vines and moss and like wood on him. He looked like legit, like he was made of
swamp stuff.
He looked great. So I'm not super familiar with this version of Swamp Thing, but he popped up a couple of months ago in GameStop. So this is Swamp Thing, what they call Planet Rann.
Yeah. I don't know too much about it either. But.
So I think this was from like a 1, maybe 2 issue story back in the 80s, back when Alan Moore was writing Swamp Thing. And he went to the planet Rann, which I think that's the planet that Adam Strange is from. I know there was a big storyline years ago called like the Rann-Thangar War, and Thangar is like the planet that Hawkman's from, and so that's the only reason I know that Rann is a planet in the DC universe. But so I guess Swamp Thing went to Rann, and his body kind of started combining with the local foliage or whatever. So yeah, this is Swamp Thing with basically alien plant life instead of regular swampy plant life. But even if this wasn't even based on a comic book, if this was just some crazy idea McFarlane had,
looks cool.
I think he looks super cool. And to me, he kind of looks like could be like coral, like something from the bottom of the ocean. He doesn't even necessarily look like outer.
Yeah, it looks like he's got barnacles. They're flowers, but they look like barnacles.
Yeah, and I'm gonna guess most of this figure is the exact same as the other one I have, except for this kind of chest overlay and the head, and like some of these, you can see where they've added pieces with the barnacles on it.
Yeah.
But everything from like the waist down would all be the same figure.
Yeah, he kind of looks like Gary Busey.
Yeah,
like the face. I don't know.
He looks upset.
Yeah. Ah! Don't do a zoom into that.
Oh, you don't want to do a Gary Busey impression for our viewers?
No, the only thing I remember him in is Rookie of the Year. So.
What about Hulk?
Oh, Hulk, yeah.
Actually, you know what? Gary Busey played Buddy Holly in the Buddy Holly biopic, and he was excellent in that.
Really?
Yep.
I don't think I've seen
That's going way back, obviously, like before he was totally nuts. But anyway, I think this is a great looking figure. And like I said, he was normally $60, but I got him for $30, which that was good enough for me.
Absolutely.
Because I almost bought him for $60. So
pretty cool. Solid figure. Excellent price.
Yeah. And again, I talk about this in episodes all the time. I don't play with my toys, but I think in my head is if I played with this toy, how would I use it? The one thing I don't like about that big Swamp Thing is he doesn't fit with the rest of the universe. Mm-hmm. If I was playing with him, he'd feel like the odd man out. If I had this as a kid, this would be like my evil Swamp Thing. He could fight this guy, and all of a sudden he doesn't feel so alone in my collection anymore. So, in my own little headcanon, this would be like an evil Swamp Thing for him to fight. And yeah, I think it looks great. Great sculpting, great paint. Awesome.
Great success.
Yep. I know you haven't opened yours yet, but do you want to talk about one of yours?
Sure. Maybe this one, because you don't have this one. So yeah, one of the ones that I was looking forward to on that was the Hush Sketch Edition variant, which is a limited edition. So it's got a specific number on it. It's got the little card of authenticity on it.
You are going to open this?
I am going to open this for sure. Pretty cool. I like the card. It says Sketch Edition. I already have this Batman as a non-Sketch Edition, but that's kind of cool. I like different things like that. Like you have one of the Jim Lee.
And this is Jim Lee as well.
Yeah, you have one of the Jim Lee sketch variants for... Is it Superman you have?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have the Batman one.
But I will... my favorite thing about this figure is probably the packaging.
Yeah.
Like, Jim Lee is an amazing artist.
Yeah.
He was the artist on the Batman story Hush that this figure is based on. And when you see that sketch, like, look at all the detail, all that cross-hatching, all the shadowing he's done. It's very intricate. This figure does not represent that at all.
No, it doesn't.
It's very blocky. Like, it looks like something I inked. Like, very lazy. It's not necessarily a bad-looking figure, but to try and sell this as this is a Jim Lee sketch variant,
it drops it a little bit.
Because the Superman one I have, and I assume the Batman one you have, so they were put out not by McFarlane, but by DC Direct.
DC Direct.
And they are white like this as well, and black, but they also are blue. Like
the case is drawn in blue.
Yeah, it's like you can see like the blue lines from where, like, because most comic creators that still use pen and paper, they draw it in blue pencil because it doesn't get reproduced when you photocopy. So the fact that you can see like blue pencil lines on the figure and then the black inking over top, like, it looked really cool. It was a super neat idea. And this looks like McFarlane just kind of stole the idea and did it.
Let's recycle one of our Batmans.
Much worse.
Yeah, but for me, it is the packaging. So I think I'm going to keep this box.
Yeah, the box is nice. So yeah, it's cool. And $10. Why not?
Exactly, right? I'm going to see what it was underneath.
Well, they had like a black and white 4-pack of figures. I think it was Superman-based pack that looked just like that. So it was a sketch edition. But it was like Superman and Zod and Brainiac. And I think it was $20. I was tempted, but I didn't.
This is not going to come off. But it's definitely more than $9.99.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to keep this box. And it's going to look nice. I feel the same way, though. I feel a bit ripped off because it's just not what the back looks like.
Yeah, like even if it had been some grays in there or something. Like, I don't know.
It's just
like, it doesn't look bad. I just don't feel like it looks like what it's pretending to be.
Right.
Now I've got a Batman as well. I've got two Batmans. This is the one I want to talk. So this is another one I bought for $10, and I actually didn't realize till I opened this guy up. I just opened these toys up like just before you got here. I had a huge mess. There was cardboard and plastic everywhere, and I was like, "Geez, I gotta break all this stuff down before Chad shows up."
That's only me.
Well, it's just we needed room to sit and everything.
I know,
because these chairs were all covered in boxes and everything. Anyway, so this is Batman. Might look like a pretty standard Batman, but I didn't expect him to have a wired cape, because all these figures, like your one that you have there, they had plastic capes that just kind of draped heavy behind them. But the more recent ones have had these wired capes where you can pose them and they'll hold the pose if you point it upwards and stuff. And I thought this figure was a little bit older, so I didn't think he had the...
Which is nice, because, McFarlane's known for his lavish capes, right? Like, he's all about, like, the Spawn cape, and, he's got the Year One Batman figure with the I believe it's a removable cape, and then you can put the flowy one on.
Yeah.
But they don't translate in hard plastic. It's just like, but to be able to, Now,
do you have this one?
The cape? I do not think so.
So this Batman here, and the reason why I got it, because like I have plenty of Batmans.
Mm-hmm. So do I.
Not to say I'm not going to buy more, but I need a kind of a reason to get a Batman. Like most recently, I bought a Batman that was based on Todd McFarlane's artwork specifically, and that was something that was kind of unique. So I picked that up. But this one here, so this isn't actually Bruce Wayne Batman. This is Dick Grayson Batman. So if we go back, I don't know, I want to say a few years, but it's probably more like 15 years. Batman died in a story called Final Crisis, and it was like a debate on who would take over Batman's place. They had like a storyline called something about like taking over the cowl, or who will inherit the cowl or something. And because Batman has a whole bunch of little sidekicks. He has like 10 Robins. He's got Batwoman and Batgirl. And so who was going to take his place? Anyway, it was decided that Dick Grayson, the original Robin, would become the new Batman.
2008.
2008. Yeah. So man, we're getting close to 20 years ago. That's crazy. And I really liked that series. Yeah. So they relaunched a new comic called Batman and Robin with Dick Grayson as Batman. And for the first time, Damian Wayne, which was Batman's son, became his Robin. And it was a cool dynamic, because usually Batman's kind of the cranky one and Robin's the fun-loving character. But now we've got Dick Grayson, who's a nice guy, who's kind of sweet. So we had a nice Batman, but Damian was a little dickhead.
I hate Damian Wayne.
So it changed the dynamic of the book, and I really enjoyed it. It was written by Grant Morrison. Some of his stuff is a little... It's a little much.
Yeah.
But I thought this was... To me, it was probably my favorite Grant Morrison stuff, was his Batman stuff. And not even all of his Batman stuff. But this particular Batman and Robin run was great. But even more than Grant Morrison was his frequent collaborator, Frank Quitely. Yeah. I don't know how to pronounce his name. It's Quietly or Quitely or whatever.
I call him Quietly.
But yeah, so Frank Quitely, an amazing artist. He did the art for that run of books. And this looks like Frank Quitely's artwork to me. Mm-hmm. So that was the appeal. Was that when I look at this, I see that cover to Batman and Robin #1, where Batman's kind of standing there in a very unheroic pose. And that's what I love about Frank Quitely's artwork, is that I find he makes things look a little bit more real and unglamorous. Like, one of the first things I was exposed to for him was, are you familiar with the comic Bike Club by chance? It was like a Vertigo book. It was about gangster vampires, essentially.
It's vaguely familiar.
But like the cover of the first issue is this sexy vampire chick, and she's like drinking a carton of blood or something, like you drink a carton of milk. And she's standing there like with no shirt on, and you can't see anything indecent. But just the way he would draw it. Most comic book artists, knowing they're trying to draw a sexy girl on the cover, they would draw her like back perfectly arched. She would be perfectly smooth, but like Frank drew all these like kind of little rolls, like so she's still like skinny and sexy, but like even the skinniest girl, when she turns or something, you get little rolls. And I just like the fact that he kind of made her just unglamorous enough to make it like realistic.
Little, yeah.
And on this cover where Batman's standing there, I almost feel like the costume doesn't fit him quite right. It almost looks like it's a little saggy in the knees. And I don't know, it's really a unique way of doing about it. You don't see all of his muscles all rippled over. The costume doesn't hug all of his abs and his six pack. It kind of drapes on him, kind of weird. And so yeah, I love Frank Quietly, and I love that this toy captures his style so good.
He was $10.
$10.
Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty cool.
Do you know if they had more?
I don't.
Okay. I'll try to navigate their awesome website later tonight.
I'll move on to the next one. You have this guy already, I think.
Yes, I do.
This is the Clock King. Now, I'll be honest, I don't really know anything about this guy. I think he's a Green Arrow villain originally, and he doesn't have any superpowers.
No, he's just obsessed with clocks.
Just an idiot that dresses up in this outfit, covered in clocks. He's got a clock on his face. He comes with his little display stand. All these figures, I should mention, come with the classic McFarlane display stand. Which here's a little side rant. I like that he gives you display stands. Mm-hmm. We talk about it all the time. I wish Marvel Legends came with them. I wish G.I. Joe Classified came with them.
But
they're too small. It's only got one peg hole, so he's got holes on both of his feet. But you can see, like, the stand, it doesn't really fit his stance. Like, so one foot is always kind of off the edge. And so if you put him on your shelf, and he's automatically a little lopsided.
Yeah. Or if you try to put the second foot on there, then he's like too narrow, and it just looks terrible.
So he gives you the same, like, Swamp Thing. My 11th.
Yeah.
He got the same stand that this guy got. Little dinky, teeny little stand.
My Titan Joker had the same stand, and he didn't even stand up on his own. You put the stand on, the stand just falls with him.
But then the other annoying thing is, for some figures, like that Frostbite Batman, he gives you a stand that's like this one.
Yeah.
So then it's either too small or it's way too big. Because like that Frostbite Batman, look at how much room he takes up on my shelf. Yeah. I can't stand another figure next to him because
that's like a good 5 inches.
Yeah, he's got a good like 5 inches of clearance, and it's just like, why can't you make a normal size stand? How hard is that to figure out? But anyway, that aside, that's my little rant. I like this guy. He's bright. He's colorful. You don't have any other figures in this color scheme. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm looking at my Marvel Legends collection across from us right now. There's hundreds of figures, all kinds of different colors. Nothing like this.
No.
This guy looks wild. It's like really goofy Silver Age.
Fun. Yeah.
He's fun. He's fun as hell. And for accessories, he also came with, I got a whole bunch of little accessories here. He came with these clock hands that I guess he uses as swords or something. So yeah, he can hold one of these in each hand. So that's kind of fun. Fun character. Yeah, don't know anything about him. I don't know if he's appeared in comic books at any time recently, because he is like an old character. Do you know anything more about this guy?
Not much.
Yeah. So, not much more to say, I guess. But a fun toy.
Yeah, he's super cool. I did buy him when he first came out.
Yeah, so you would have paid
at full price.
$30 to $40 for him.
Yeah, it was definitely like 41 something.
Because he's deluxe, because he also comes with this piece of bullshit, which is like a collector card, except he comes with this big hunk of plastic that you can display the card with. But nobody is
useless.
Nobody has room for this. I'm not going to.
Do you know how many multiverse figures I have? And if they all came with those, how ridiculous that would look?
Yeah, so the fact that this is in the package beside the figure plus the two clock hands, it's an extra wide box, so bigger than the standard figure. So yeah, these figures are like $10 more. So like that Batman I got, he was probably a $30 figure marked down to $10, but Clock King was a $40 figure marked down to $10. So better savings, I guess. But the initial price was kind of bullshit anyway.
Yeah. Stupid.
Yeah. All right. Well, should we talk about our next one together? Because we both
have this one, and yours is out of the package.
Mm-hmm.
This one had me a little confused. I'll wait till you reveal it.
Drum roll.
And I think it's the same confusion you had.
Well, wait and show the box first, I guess.
Okay.
So I already had this guy in my hand. And when I was talking to Chad on the phone, I was kind of surprised when you said, grab me this one too. I was like, okay. I thought, over Metallo and everybody, you want this thing? But okay.
It's the Centennial Park Tribute Statue. So when I was looking at this, trying to get it into that stupid cart situation,
yeah,
statue threw me off. And I'm like, well, McFarlane doesn't normally make statues in the multiverse line.
No.
So, is this a statue or is it an action figure of a statue? And then once I saw that it was an action figure version of a statue, I was like, oh man, I can't wait to get this. And then of course the shopping cart fiasco, and I'm like, you know what? I fucking quit. I'm done.
So yeah, that's what it is. It is
I can't anymore. But that's so cool.
It's an action figure, and here's what we're talking about: those giant. Look at this guy's display base. So this guy comes with a giant slab of concrete, which I do think is kind of cool. It makes more sense than the other big stands.
Yeah,
because the whole idea behind this figure is way back in like the early '90s or late '80s, whatever it was, when they did the Death of Superman story. Superman died, and spoiler alert. And when he died, they resurrected this statue in the middle of basically Metropolis' version of Central Park, which is Centennial Park.
Yeah.
And it was also Superman's tomb. They did the same thing in Batman versus Superman, or right? Or was it Justice League?
Maybe it was Justice League.
Yeah, he died at the end of Batman versus Superman. And then so they built a statue of him.
They tried to get him back, and
yeah, so it is an action figure of a statue. Which you might think, well, that doesn't make any sense, but who cares? It was $10. And so you get the base, the figure, the eagle. Now, the eagle is actually permanently attached to his hand, but you can take it off because he has a regular hand that doesn't have an eagle on it. I don't know why they didn't just put a peg on his or snap him on the form. I don't know. It just seems like it
would have made sense.
It would have, but this way at least he's less likely to fall off.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing this came with, which is kind of neat, I don't know if I'll use it or not, but it comes with this little slab here where you can display the park background behind him, or if you don't like that, it's got just this nice
gold Superman
white background with the gold Superman logo, which also looks kind of classy.
I'll probably display it with the park. I think it's, it'll take up the same amount of room.
Yeah, it's kind of neat. I'm not even sure if I'll display it with this whole hunk of concrete, just because it takes up a lot of room. I don't have that much shelf space to devote to this thing, I don't think. But yeah, I'm sure this Superman figure is just a repainted figure they've already done. But I don't recognize immediately what Superman is, because people complain all the time that McFarlane couldn't do a good Superman to save his life. He did a lot of bad Superman figures. Just recently, if you've watched my recent episodes, I've got two really good Superman. I got the Christopher Reeve one, and then I got the the comic book digital version. Yeah. This one's actually really nice too. I like this Superman. So whatever this Superman was when it was first released, that probably would have been a pretty good figure. But I don't recognize it.
He's not ringing a bell for me. This would have been a good opportunity to maybe do a soft good cape too, I think.
But it's a statue.
I know. Fair. I love it. I can't wait to open mine. I will display it with the park in the background. And maybe I'll do a different pose. Maybe I won't.
Yeah, when I first opened them up, I was kind of I thought the gold seemed a little dull. I was kind of hoping it would maybe have a little bit more of a metallic sheen. But then I started taking some pictures of it for my Instagram and stuff.
It looks nice.
I like it. The gold's a little plasticky looking. I think they could have maybe done something a little snazzier, but even that patina Batman, if maybe, I don't know if this figure would have benefited from some patina, But anyway, it's kind of cool, and it's something different. So it's kind of like when I bought that Frostbite Batman. I was trying to think of like how would I have played with this toy. It's a frozen Batman. Like it's not really something you could use. Same as this figure here, unless you wanted to use your imagination and make the statue come to life, which you could do. But otherwise, it's just a kind of a glorified accessory. But for $10,
sold.
What the hell?
Easy decision.
All right, so this next one, this was a steal because I was really close to buying this when it first came out for $100.
Mm-hmm. I know what one it is already.
Well, do you? It's this one.
Yeah, I didn't want the stupid horse though.
Yeah, that's the thing. Jonah Hex. Not only is he my brother's favorite DC character, but he's one I really like as well. And I would have bought this thing for sure for like $40 when it came out. But he came with this big, stupid horse, which it's not bad. Like
that's the same fucking horse from the Build-A-Figure.
Yeah, but of course, like they made a horse with the Dark Knight figures, so of course they're going to reuse those parts. I don't fault them for that. And I don't want to be too hard on the horse because Jonah Hex is a cowboy who rides a horse. It just would have been nice to have the option, like maybe a deluxe pack with the two of them and a single version, because not everybody that wants the Jonah Hex wants the horse. But yeah, for $25, this was less than the cost of a regular figure is what I ended up getting it for. So I was pretty pleased with all that. Now the horse, it looks nice. I wish he had the ability to kind of spread his legs a little bit, like there's no movement to go to the sides, so it makes him kind of he's got a very thin profile, which means it'd be very easy for him to fall over. If you could spread his legs out just a little bit more, he'd be a lot sturdier. So I don't think I'd want to display him on a shelf with Jonah Hex sitting on top of him because I'd be worried the whole thing would come down on me. So yeah, it's not a bad horse, but considering that I already have horses in this scale in the Masters of the Universe line, in the Mythic Legions line, this horse falls a little bit short as far as the sculpting and everything there, but it's not bad. But yeah,
I mean, $25.
Oh, yeah.
If it's still there, I might.
But the Jonah. So do you know much about this dude?
I know bits and pieces. I never really followed Jonah Hex.
Did you ever see that movie?
Yes.
The movie sucked.
It did suck.
Yeah, they did a movie, again, probably longer than I imagine it was. I want to say like 10 years ago, but maybe it was more than that.
Probably like 15, 20 maybe.
Yeah, so Josh Brolin played him, and Megan Fox was in it.
I think that's when she was in her prime. I'm just going to Google that exact date for us.
But yeah, she looked good in the movie. So if that movie had anything going for it, it was that. But yeah, so this guy here, he is a cowboy. He's not super powered or anything, which that's one of the things I liked least about the movie is they gave him superpowers.
Yeah, 2010.
Okay. So yeah, 15 years ago. But yeah, he could like resurrect the dead in the movie for, I don't know why they feel the need to embellish. Like he's already a cool character. Anyway, this is a character that was around since the 70s. I didn't read the old comic books, but my brother did. And his comic book ended when they did the Crisis on Infinite Earths, but then he got revived in like the early 2000s, and he had another good long run, and I collected that whole series, and it was one of my favorite comic books to read back in the day because it was one and done stories. Mm-hmm. It was just every issue, he's a bounty hunter, he'd have to like save somebody's kidnapped daughter or go hunt down this outlaw, and you think it could get repetitive, but like they managed to find a way to come up with original stories that were quick, and one issue was over with, and it was really great. If you've never read Jonah Hex, I would recommend it. But basically, he was a guy that fought for the South in the Civil War, and half of his face is all scarred up because some Native Americans put an axe in the fire and scarred his face with it and everything. Anyway, he's kind of a bitter old bastard, but
I do like the face sculpt on him.
The face sculpt is really nice. Now the thing is, this is the Platinum edition.
Yeah.
But I've never seen the non-platinum edition, which I think, from what I've seen online, I would have preferred the other one.
Yeah.
The only difference that I can tell is the non-platinum one has a gray shirt, which, since he was a Confederate soldier, he should have had a gray shirt. He always wore a gray shirt in the comic books. This one here, he's wearing like a blue denim shirt, but he's wearing blue denim jeans. So this might be a reference that's lost on any younger viewers, but he looks like Jay Leno in his garage. With that, when you wear denim on denim, it's too much.
Yeah, this is the original right here.
So yeah, that one there with the gray shirt and a brown jacket.
Yeah. Yeah, that's brown.
So that one,
and the horse is black.
Yeah, black horse,
which is the exact same horse because the Build-A-Figure one was black.
I don't really care about the horse color. His horse is general. I'm sure some hardcore fans would tell me oh yeah, General is a black horse, not a white horse. I don't really remember his horse color. I don't even remember if he kept the same horse all along the way. He probably didn't. Most cowboys tend to lose their horse somewhere.
So it's $91.27 on Amazon.
Okay,
$25.
So yeah, the blue on blue is a little much, and I noticed in that picture there the jacket was brown too.
Yeah.
When I think of a cowboy and his duster, I think of a brown jacket.
Yeah, brownish leather.
This is blue, so he's blue on blue on blue. And the material of this is so lightweight. Mm-hmm. It doesn't at all feel like a cowboy jacket.
No, it feels like a cape.
Yeah, it is kind of cape-like. I'm almost tempted to lose it all together. It's not terrible, but there's no detail for where the cuffs are. This looks like something I made at home.
Yeah, and the sew job is terrible because what do you call that? The inside part of the collar, I guess, looks ratty.
It looks really amateur.
Yeah. It looks like grade 7 family studies sewing project.
Yeah, my locker organizer looks better than this.
Yeah.
Anyway, but all that aside, I think it's a cool figure. Like I said, I almost bought this for $100. So to get it for 25,
mm-hmm.
Now,
it's a steal.
An interesting thing about him to note is DC figures, the McFarlane figures, kind of famously don't have what?
Accessories.
Guns.
He does.
There's a thing. I don't know exactly the truth of this, but something like Warner Brothers.
It's Warner Brothers.
Yeah, Warner Brothers owns DC, and they don't want toys with their guns with their toys. So even characters like Sergeant Rock, who's a soldier, he looks like a GI Joe. He comes with a shovel instead of a gun, and it's there's not a whole lot of DC characters that would need a gun.
Deadshot,
but Deadshot, it doesn't come with a gun or whatever.
The Red Hood.
But this guy, not only does he have his two...
He's got the shotgun.
He's got two revolvers. He's got a shotgun. Yeah. He's got a hatchet, which is kind of brutal.
Yeah.
And he's got his little Confederate sword there, too.
Scabbard, I think is what
he's also got an alternate belt.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm not going to risk changing the belt that he came with.
I like the belt that's on.
I'm worried on that. Well, I think these holsters are a lot better. Because that one, the pistols just kind of get...
Oh, yeah, it's just sitting in there.
Yeah, I don't like the way this holds the guns, but I'm worried if I take it off, I'll never get it back on again.
Right.
But yeah, so cool figure, lots of accessories, and I'm just surprised that he came with all these guns.
Yeah, that's an irregularity for sure, because all the ones I have don't have guns.
And while we're talking about accessories here, the only other one worth mentioning is my Swamp Thing also came with fist hands.
Yeah.
So if you want to give them...
I was going to make a comment there. I'm like, oh.
If you want to fist your Swamp Thing?
Well, no. But maybe. But I didn't know if that was Jonah Hex's. And then I clued in before I said it. Wait, that's Red Swamp Thing.
Yes. All right, I got one more figure. What do you want to talk about?
Sure. So this one is not an action figure. However, huge Batman fan. He is my life. I'm not going to propose to him. That sounded like I was getting ready for a proposal.
Yeah, does your girlfriend watch this?
She has started. So hi, Melanie.
Yeah, maybe retract that Batman's your whole life.
Yeah. I retract that.
Yeah.
So this is a set of playing cards, and it's the 85th anniversary of Batman. So what these cards do, I think they were $14.99 American. This was actually the thing that made made me force ship my pile of loot because it was on the last day.
Yeah.
But they have artwork from all 85 years of Batman. So it's like the movies and comics, all kinds of cool stuff. You would ask me if I was going to open them, and I said no because they have a nice silver seal on it that says City of Gotham, founded in 1939.
Really? You're not going to open that?
I might have to. I need to look at them.
Yeah.
I will probably put them in like a plastic sleeve.
Okay. I'm sure it's probably the same image multiple times. Like every 8 is going to be the same thing. Every 9 will be the same thing. Or do you really think there's...
I think they were different.
Like 52 different images or whatever?
Yeah, I believe they were different.
Okay. Well, so yeah, now we'll have to find out. But
should I do it?
You can if you
do
want
it right
to.
now.
Pretty regularly.
Nice smell. I love like new card smell.
Yeah, it's got a weird kind of smoky smell almost.
That's fucking lame.
Well, the front of the cards are boring as hell. They look like standard playing cards. So the face cards are... You'll have to send me pictures of these later so I can put them in there or something. But
okay, so for the most part, you have face cards that are valued, and then you have just regular old fucking playing
what's
cards.
on the back? Is the back interesting at least?
No, it has a bat symbol. But these appear to be all from the Batman movie, which I was under the Batman movies. I was under the impression that it had artwork from all the 85 years on the cards, so I was in fact wrong.
Yeah, those are weak.
This is a very big disappointment. I will not, in fact, be sleeving these cards. I will probably put them back in my...
Oh, well, you can just play poker with them next time.
Case. Only one will claim the night. Wow,
that must be the Joker. No, the Joker's the Joker.
The Joker's the Joker.
That makes sense.
That's actually really disappointing. I feel more ripped off now.
Yeah. So for those of you that didn't see what he... Like, show the front of one of those cards. The cards are... So yeah, that's the Joker. So there's a picture of Heath Ledger Joker on there. Let's just show the standard cards.
Then you're going to have a standard
4
of hearts.
It's nothing Batman about it whatsoever.
And then you have like all the Batmans that have played him in live action. So you've got Adam West, Christian Bale, Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, George Clooney.
Yeah.
And...
But still, what card is that in the deck? That's just like an extra thing?
That's just an extra card.
All right.
That's disappointing.
Yeah. That was underwhelming. So
fail.
Move on to my last figure here.
Yes, sir. You got something better to talk about.
Yes, this is cool. It's not perfect, but... So this set here, I wanted to buy, but it was $100. And that was too much.
Yep.
But at $50, that was reasonable. Now, to be honest, I still feel $50 is actually kind of still a little high for this set. But last year, I think it was 2024, maybe 2023, DC published a comic book miniseries called Godzilla vs. Kong vs. the Justice League.
Yep.
So the monsters from the legendary Godzilla movies, which are the current American movies, they came into the DC universe and they fought the Justice League. Now, I thought it was a pretty fun series. One of the things I liked about it is that it wasn't just Godzilla and Kong and the usual suspects of like Batman and Superman. It was actually all the monsters from that universe. So you had kind of some of the obscure monsters that you just kind of see snippets of in the movies. They were all there too. And also some of the characters like Supergirl and Shazam that don't always get in the spotlight. They get to do stuff as well. So it was kind of a fun series. And I was surprised when McFarlane announced he was going to do some 2-packs tied into that miniseries. So he was doing a Batman and King Kong 2-pack and a Superman and Godzilla 2-pack. Now, we haven't seen the Godzilla pack yet, but the Batman King Kong one came out a couple months ago. I thought I was going to buy it, but then I started seeing...
The articulation.
Well, yeah, the King Kong is very limited articulation. So yeah, that kind of cooled my jets a little bit. I was like, I don't know, man. And I don't even want the Batman figure. I was just buying it for the King Kong.
Yeah, I remember. I remember when I sent you that message. You're like,
So I'll put in a picture of the box here, but you get a big King Kong, and then for whatever reason I don't understand, you get a normal 7-inch Batman, which is almost the same size as the King Kong. And then you get a little Batman, but even that Batman is not to scale with the King Kong. Like a Batman to scale with the King Kong should be like tiny, this big. Yeah. But instead the Batman's like, you'll see in a second. Anyway, so here's the Batman. So this is the type of Batman that I would not have bought. If this was alone for $10, I wouldn't have bought this. Not to say that it's bad. I actually think it's pretty good. It's just, it's not based on a particular look or comic style or anything.
He looks so fucking angry, and his neck, you can't.
He looks pissed.
His neck, you can't even turn his head.
I don't know. His neck is articulated, and there you go. Like, turn his whole neck. See?
But you can't move his head.
Well, as long as his neck turns, what do you need his head to move and not his neck for?
Well, shouldn't he be able to move his head up and down?
I don't know. Anyway, I think it's a fine figure. And at first I thought when I got this pack, if I ever got it, I thought I would probably just trade this into my local comic shop. But I don't know. I think it's good enough that I'll probably hold on to it. Mm-hmm. It's not bad. Although you can see he has that rubber cape that just kind of drapes there, really heavy like, as opposed to my other Batman, which had the nice,
And isn't that a horror to get out of the plastic packaging?
Yeah, it is kind of tough to get them out of the packaging. Anyway, so, well, can you hold him up for a second so people can see the size of him?
That's what she said.
And then you get Kong.
That is so ridiculous.
But, like, Batman's up to like, his shoulders, pretty much. So, like, that makes no sense to me. Because, like, if anybody bought this figure and said, okay, well, I've got Kong, but I want him to fight Batman, it's not like there's any shortage of Batman figures. McFarlane has literally made 100 of them. So the fact that he kind of forced people that wanted a King Kong to buy another Batman, like, I would have been all for them packaging him with a little Batman. That makes sense to me. Because that way, at least this is King Kong versus the Justice League. But anyway, here's the little Batman. I've got him in his hand. But you can see the scale of that's pretty off, too. Mm-hmm. Like, this little Batman comes up to his knee, which is still way too big.
Yeah.
Like, so anyway, that almost doesn't matter, because I don't care about either of these Batmans. I didn't buy it for the Batman.
You bought it for the Kong.
I wanted it for the Kong. Now, this Kong has, I think, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points of articulation, which is he swivels at the waist, like so. He swivels at the head. His arms can go forward and backwards, but they can't even go out. Like, he can't put his arms out like this. And he swivels at the wrist.
And McFarlane is usually 22 points of articulation. They usually have it advertised.
But, like, from the waist down, he's got nothing. Like, he doesn't have a knee. He doesn't have an ankle. He doesn't even have, like, a thigh.
Yeah, he swivels just right at the waist.
So, like, he's so static from the waist down like that. Like this, and feel how light he is. He's super hollow. Like, this does not feel like $100 toy. And for me, if I'd paid for this at full price, and considering the Batman was kind of like a gimme, like I'd be
pissed.
Yeah, and even like at $50, even like I feel Playmates could put out this same toy for $30.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
But
still a nice Kong, minus the articulation.
Well, that's the whole thing. I already knew the articulation problem before I bought it. I love the sculpt of it, because I do have a couple other King Kongs in my collection. This one is unique looking. You wouldn't mistake this one for one of my other Kongs from like NECA or Hiya Toys or something. Like, this is a unique look, and he has a nice paint job. It's not like super detailed, but it does have like a bit of a wash over the fur. Mm-hmm. He's got the scarring on his chest, like the fact that his gums and his teeth and his eyes, everything's painted with multiple paint apps. So in the grand scheme of things, this guy's just going to be standing on my shelf like this anyway. And so, where I'm not going to be posing him, I'm kind of okay with him not moving that much. As long as he moves a little bit so he's not a statue, I'm pretty happy with him. So, yeah, he's fine. I'm glad I got him for a discount. I'm glad the Batman is better than I expected it to be. But anyway, I'm a huge Kong fan. I'm excited to get this Kong. There's already multiple companies making like monster toys between like NECA and Super 7 and Playmates. So McFarlane was not on my radar to be making Godzilla toys. So the fact that we got these, I don't know if they'll make anything beyond these two packs, but they're already announced that they're doing a sequel comic book. Yeah. So maybe they will be more toys. I don't know. But yeah, not bad.
Pretty cool. Happy for the discount for you.
Oh, and he does actually have an alternate head, which I actually prefer. This is like more stoic face instead of this yelly face, which I will probably actually display him on my shelf with this head. So that's a little more bang for your buck that you can change the head at least. But okay, so that's it. That was our big haul.
I do have something else that is not DC. I don't know if we want to throw that on there or I can save it for another episode.
Well, if you're going to be quick, because we're almost at, or probably at the hour mark.
So. This will be super quick. So I'm a big Mega Man fan. Grew up loving Mega Man. I bought this 3-0 Mega Man. And I was under the impression that it would be much larger than it was.
That's or is. Said.
That is what she said. The figure is probably like 2.5 inches tall, and that's him.
How much was this?
This was $49.99 American.
So,
but sadly,
about $70.
Yep, and this was. When did I get that?
Yeah, this is
late January.
And like, is there anything in all this extra package? Because there's all this extra space on it. Maybe he's got stuff down there. It doesn't look like it, because I think that's showing what's in the package.
That's everything. But he's tiny.
Yeah, that guy,
like, that's smaller than the Jada Toys one.
He's probably 2.5 inches. Yeah, that's a small little guy there. And so I don't even like the sculpt nearly as much as the Jada ones either.
No,
like
it looks terrible. So I'm kind of pissed and sour about that. I have a fire version of him. I'm actually probably going to go cancel.
Yeah, I would if I were you.
Right now.
Yeah, if this was $20, sure.
Absolutely.
But yeah, like $50 with the conversion. Like it's $70, and then you paid for shipping, and you did pay some customs on this box, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this guy probably cost you more like $80, $85 when all was said and done. And yeah.
He's tiny.
It's almost the same size as my little Batman here.
Right? Batman's probably bigger.
They're pretty close.
But yeah, that was a big disappointment. I'll take the L on that one, I guess. I don't have a choice.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll try to trade it in somewhere. I don't know.
Well, that's too bad.
That is unfortunate. But anyways.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up.
Wrap it up.
It was good to have you back for a couple of episodes.
Thank you.
It was seen you in a while.
Good to be back.
All right.
I'll have a couple more in a few days here. Now this stupid thing won't even go back.
Yeah, I still have lots more toys to talk about. I've got Transformers. I've got Marvel Legends. I've got reaction figures. Yeah, I don't know. Plus, there's more stuff coming. I've got some stuff in my Amazon cart and everything. So anyway, yeah, we'll cover all that stuff soon. So thank you very much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave us comments below. And
I didn't cough.
He didn't cough. He's feeling better, I guess.
Yeah. That one's for you, Scott.
All right. We'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching.
Keep collecting.
Ciao.